Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today we're discussing an increasingly important topic, and that is securing critical mineral supply chains. Critical minerals are a vital component of many technologies, from our cell phones to solar panels to electric vehicles, and as we continue to transition to a clean energy economy, demand for these minerals will only keep growing. Currently, we rely on imports for many critical minerals, and China controls about 80% of the world's processing capacity for these minerals. I'm confident we can all agree that this poses significant risk to our economic and national security. These are not insurmountable challenges, but we must face them head-on. There's much work to be done to secure our domestic critical mineral supply chains, help us meet our climate goals, and ensure we outcompete the rest of the world in the clean energy mission. Now, we must strengthen our domestic capabilities to reduce our reliance on foreign sources like China. We must grow and cement our relationships with allies to develop and access new critical mineral supply chains, also known as friendshoring. And the United States must invest in scaling up battery recycling and processing of critical minerals in order to mitigate supply chain vulnerabilities and increase our domestic supply of these resources. And we must ensure that we continue to have a strong domestic market for clean energy technologies so that companies are willing to make long-term investments in this sector. Creating a circular economy for critical minerals is a win for our environment, our economy, and our national security. And the expansion of responsible mining is also part of the equation. However, the global supply of critical minerals is not infinite, and we cannot mine forever. Securing our critical mineral supply chain must be a holistic, multifaceted approach that includes onshoring, friendshoring, and recycling. Mining is just one piece of a very large puzzle, and I should note that this committee does not have a role to play in setting a changing domestic mining policy. But there are many issues Energy and Commerce should discuss regarding critical mineral supply chains, so I'm a little disappointed that the majority chose to focus today's hearing on issues outside of our jurisdiction. Securing our critical mineral supply chains is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to outpace our economic competitors and dominate the next generation's worth of technology. The United States is in a race to the top in terms of who will have the strongest, most advanced economy moving forward into the 21st century. We cannot cede our global leadership position to China. But thankfully, Democrats are determined to see the United States lead the pack and have been working hard to ensure that outcome. Together, the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act included billions of dollars in federal investments to strengthen our critical mineral supply chain, create new jobs, and cut costs for hardworking families. The bipartisan infrastructure law, for example, included $7.9 billion for battery manufacturing, recycling, and critical minerals, and directed EPA to develop best practices for battery collection and voluntary battery labeling guidelines to help grow our circular economy for critical minerals. The Inflation Reduction Act included tax credits for EVs, domestic or ally-sourced critical minerals for batteries, and domestic battery manufacturing to help grow our domestic capacity and supply chains. But I have to point out that not a single Republican sitting on this committee today voted for either of these bills. In fact, they've spent much of this Congress crusading against these successful policies and investments. Now, I understand that my GOP colleagues are concerned about the threat from China. I don't doubt that. But their policies won't work to accomplish the goal to effectively compete with China. Because time and again, Republicans have put the interests of corporate polluters over those of our economy and the American people. We simply cannot allow our country to be dragged backward. We have to move forward. Laws like the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act are important down payments on our clean energy future, but it's clear that Congress must continue developing solutions to our critical minerals supply chain challenges. Now, I welcome a productive conversation about strengthening our critical mineral supply chains and growing domestic capacity and expanding our ties with allies to achieve common climate goals. In my view, these should be bipartisan priorities that we can work on together. So I hope my Republican colleagues come to the table to discuss common sense solutions for comprehensively addressing our supply chain challenges, and we can achieve a consensus. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, and with that, I yield back the balance of my time.